Alright, today I'm gonna show you some Afghani hashish. That's right. I have some hashish. It was probably brought back from the Canadian military. I know the American military brings back hashish from that country as well. It is sad to me that people think that Afghanistan is a dangerous country. It kind of is. It's not as dangerous as you would think. The American military has really cleaned it up, you know. It's not full of crazy Taliban and all that shit. People don't realize that the people who make Afghanistan hashish are all really good people, and the Canadian and the American military actually goes there to help make sure that these farmers can continue to farm cannabis, and that they can stop organizations like the Taliban trying to ruin that for them, right? Which is quite a special thing, because Afghanistan is one of the few countries in the world that still really cares about cannabis. And because of their old world mentality, you know, everywhere else in the world, they allow them to continue to grow and sell cannabis worldwide, because the Afghani, you know, they're a funny kind of a person. They're very old world mentality. I mean, they got that in parts of India and stuff like that, right? But every single person in Afghanistan is like almost like they're still in the 18th century. They act like an Amish person, kind of, but like they're from the Middle East. Yeah, so, you know, I mean, this is really a special smoke. People who think it's stupid to smoke Afghani hashish, they're really dumb. Because Afghani hashish, Afghan Kush, you know, is a major part in a lot of the strains we have nowadays. A lot of the cannabis strains that came from Afghanistan are part of the reason that you have indica cannabis. You know, you have all those Kush plants, all that kind of cannabis exists because of Afghani Kush, right? So if you didn't have Afghani hashish selling, you know, Afghani Kush moving around, and it is the hashish that caused the Kush plant to come to fucking Canada and America, really. Well, fuck, you wouldn't even have half the cannabis strains that you have nowadays if you didn't respect Afghanistan for doing what they do. You know, maybe Lebanon is a more new age country, maybe Morocco is a more new age country. But the people in Afghanistan are really making wonderful hashish always. It is organic, you know, it is hashish. They don't put anything in, they don't use fertilizer. They just grow their cannabis in a field, you know, and they shake it over a screen and they make wonderful hashish. It's darker because it's hand pressed, but I mean, honestly, the strength of it, I swear they sprinkle extra THC on top of it. I've heard, come to think of it, that they do that with some. This is really the stronger Afghani hashish, most that I have tried from this company. It really is fucking top notch, you know. I've had Afghani hashish that is kind of more like smoking cannabis, and that's the funny thing, you know. It's a strength that is still as good as smoking flower, smoking the cannabis part of the plant, right? Even if you get the lower quality, if you could even call it lower quality, right? So when you're smoking Afghani hashish like this, it is as good as Lebanese blonde even, you know. I mean, they've added THC to it. They've hand pressed and then dumped extra THC on it. You know, I mean, it's from hand rubbing cannabis plants possibly. Yeah, so, and then they've added even more extra THC onto here. It's also possibly that they use mint tea leaves for flavoring, and they add a little bit of tea leaves into it for flavoring. It really makes it taste absolutely amazing. I couldn't even describe the flavor. It's like a minty chocolate. It's like an after eight chocolate, and it has like a hint of chocolate flavor to it. But like, genuinely, I'm not sure what the strain is, you know. There are a few strains out there that have kind of a hint of chocolate to them. And that's what you get from crossing cannabis, you know. Eventually you do reach strains that actually even have that kind of a flavor to them, which is impressive in life. Yeah, it's a really special thing. Anyways, I'm gonna smoke this, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more about Hollywood and compare myself to Eminem. So I was talking to this kid the other day, right, and I'm trying to convince him that I'm a person that goes to Hollywood eventually. And he's not quite sure, you know. I mean, he's thinking, how the fuck are you even gonna get there? How the fuck are you even gonna be one of those people? And though, you know, he's kind of convinced I could possibly do it, not just because of my family history. You know, my grandfather was a cinematographer who literally knew people in Hollywood. But I'm comparing myself to hip-hop artist Eminem, you know, from Detroit. And I'm telling this kid, right, like, Eminem went to California, he went to Hollywood at the age of 23, you know. He was like a kid still. He was like a little feller, all right, in their opinion even. And it's funny to me, you know, that Eminem, though lived in the ghetto of Detroit, apparently, from what I've heard, not the worst neighborhood, you know, and not even that bad of a neighborhood at all. I mean, it was a trailer park that he grew up in, you know, that is still in Detroit. It's Detroit, of course. But it was not the neighborhood of 7 Mile, I have been told, you know. Anyways, you know, Eminem leaves his trailer park at age 23. I think it's funny how, you know, he's even then going to convince African Americans like 50 Cent, you know, that he's fucking ghetto. And he's spending time in Dr. Dre, you know, and I know that's because he's got his job in Hollywood. He's a person who's born to be and meant to be in Hollywood. But I was telling this kid, you know, it's honestly funny how he didn't stay in that neighborhood in Detroit for longer. And that's where I had this kid pretty much on me, though being Canadian, or whatever the fuck he's trying to claim. And though he needs to see a Canadian Hollywood star, and he believes, you know, Keanu Reeves is a Canadian Hollywood star, and that's where I've got him on the fact that I can make it, right? But when I compare Eminem to me in that way, and it's funny how, you know, I'm not going to Hollywood right away at age 23 kind of a thing, fucking, you know, it's then funny for me. I'm out here in Canada, looking more impressive than Eminem coming from Detroit by a certain part in my life. If I make it to age fucking 35, 40 or whatever the fuck, and, you know, I just get South Korean surgery to look the fucking same age as I am at age 20 or whatever, you know, and nobody even knows what the fuck age I am, and I go to Hollywood then. Well, then I've lived that long, you know, out here making hip-hop, fucking doing shows that are like that kind of show with the people, right, you know. Maybe I'll even sell drugs in Europe or something where I can, I don't know. I'll do something fucking thug life or whatever the fuck, you know. We'll get to a little bit of thug life or something of the sort, right? And then Eminem will just look goofy compared to me, and I like how he is goofy, you know, and I think it's funny how a person like 50 Cent can handle how goofy Eminem is. You know, there's a reason that Eminem advertises that kind of a goofy attitude towards life, and I do really appreciate that. And he knows it, you know, when Eminem says towards a new world order, oh, he says that for a reason. I hear that, yeah. But I think it's almost funny how if I do that, I'd look more like I could spend time with 50 Cent than Eminem could, you know. And then it looks like, does Eminem even know about a dollar bill, y'all? Is he spending time with 50 Cent? I don't know. Maybe I'll do life like that. We'll have to see. I don't know. Alright, I'm gonna smoke this other piece of hashish.